These are 7 undeniable signs that you indeed are a people pleaser. Now, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get right into these 7 because if you are indeed are a people pleaser, these are 7 undeniable signs that you indeed are a people pleaser. Just in case you are wondering, just in case you're on the fence or on the edge, or if you needed some reassurance about this, these 7 signs are going to let you know without a shadow of a doubt. Let's get into it. Number 1 is you cringe at the idea of telling somebody no. Now, I'm not just talking about saying no. Most people find themselves uncomfortable saying no. However, some can actually say no and be okay after the fact. However, I'm talking about just thinking about the idea of having to say no to a request that somebody else has for you. So let's say you have a friend and they are having a baby shower. Now, they're a pretty good friend of yours, but you know that during that weekend you had other plans. You had things that you wanted to do, things that you really wanted to do that you were planning out for months in advance. And so you know in the back of your head that you're probably going to have to say no to this friend. If you are cringing at the idea to the point where you are willing to cancel your very own plans in order to jump onto that person's bandwagon and to do what they have going on, you're a people pleaser. Now, I'm not saying that you don't compromise. I'm not saying that, you become the type of person who never does anything that other people have going on. What I'm saying is if you continuously choose other people's yes, then you are continuously telling yourself no. And each time you tell somebody else yes and replace your yes with their yes, you are denying yourself the dignity, the God-given right, and the audacity to live your own life. I know it sounds deep. I know it sounds maybe a little far-fetched, but trust me, when you do this over and over again, all you're doing is losing a sense of who you truly are. Let's get into number 2. Number 2 is you have to convince yourself to do things for other people continuously. Now, again, this is one of those ones where if you are convincing yourself to do something nice for another person every now and then, there's nothing wrong with that. However, if you're having to convince yourself, you're having to talk yourself into to justify doing things for other people continuously, you indeed are a people pleaser. As a matter of fact, it is unhealthy and basically would be defined as codependency if you continuously find yourself having to do something just to appease another individual that you have relationship with. Right? So if you're finding yourself in that state, if you find yourself continuously being on this hamster wheel of doing for others and having to always be in your head about, telling yourself why it's a good idea, you're a people pleaser. Number 3, you have a deep sense of guilt when you're doing something for yourself or when you choose to do something for yourself. So you experience a deep sensation of guilt. You feel as if you're doing something bad or something wrong when you choose yourself, when you choose that day for self-care, when you take some time to yourself. Maybe you're a parent, maybe you got kids and you think to yourself, man, I am selfish because I want some time to me today. I'm selfish because I need to spend some time with me. Now, I'm not talking about the type of person who's abandoning their kids going to the club every weekend, right? That type of person, you got a different sort of situation going on. There's a lot deeper healing that needs to take place if that is how you are living out your life. If you're, leaving your kids for the club, leaving your kids for a blunt, leaving your kids for the homies, whatever that looks like, that's a whole different case. You might have to watch a whole different video for that one. But what I'm talking about is when you're doing things for yourself, when you're finally reclaiming your time, right? Instead of taking the phone call where they're about to talk your ear off and dump all their baggage on you, you're choosing to not pick that call up and do you instead. If you feel guilt every time you do that, you are indeed a people pleaser. Now, number 4 is, I scrolled all the way to the top. Number 4 is you ditch your own plans for someone else's last minute plans. Now, this one is kind of tied into one that I talked about in the beginning. However, where this differs is you have plans that you've, mapped out for a long time, and somebody has something that they want to do off the fly. So let's say you've been wanting to go watch some movie that just came out. You've been waiting for 10 years for them to make the sequel to this movie, right? Then all of a sudden, one of your friends says, hey, they got this thing going on tonight at the Blase Blase Lounge. Like, let's go. And you're thinking, man, I've been waiting 10 years to watch this. I want to watch this. But instead, you cancel your plans so you can join somebody else's last minute efforts. That is a absolute clear sign that you You are a people pleaser to the 1000th degree. You do things in order to appease those around you so you can feel good about yourself, because there's no other reason you would continue to cancel the things you love to do in order to jump on somebody else's last minute plans that they just threw together that they're kind of maybe excited about, right? That's different than a baby shower, a wedding, or something like that. I'm talking about, they just thought to themselves, hey, you know what? I want to go smoke a blunt. Let's go smoke a blunt right now. And you're thinking to yourself, ooh, yeah, today was my day to work on my website for my business. But you know what? Since I care more about appeasing them than I do about being authentic to myself, you know what? Screw that website. Let me go smoke a blunt. All right. Now we have number 5 is you smile, nod, and affirm even when you do not agree. This is a big one. This is called tacit approval, by the way. And I learned about this from a dude in self or personal development world named Dan Pena. And basically what it is when you approve of something unconsciously or sometimes consciously by nodding along or yesing along when you do not agree, and you only do it in order to make the other person feel good or feel okay about the things that they're doing or saying. So you could completely disagree with somebody else's opinion, and yet you're nodding along, and yet you're affirming that person by nodding and smiling and doing all these other unconscious or, let's say, nonverbal cues, right? And if you find yourself doing this time and time again, you're basically saying my opinion, my perspectives, my ideologies, my ideas, my being, because truly your thoughts become your being or are your being. They're the core of your being. If you find yourself doing that time and time again, you do not respect yourself more than you care about the opinions of others. Number 6, you see empathy as taking on everyone else's energy but never your own. Now, I came up with the term a while back. Well, I didn't come up with it. It was a download during a meditation. And it was the term dark empath. And it basically said, a lot of people say they're empaths and they take on other people's energy. And it's almost like this bragging thing within the spiritual community. But then I was kind of shown that there's another side of empathy. There's a darker side, a much more, not sinister side, but it is a more, I guess, self-righteous side. So people love to say, I just can't help it. I take on everybody's energy and I'm just such an empath, when in truth or in reality, you have been programmed or conditioned into not feeling your own feelings, not thinking your own thoughts, not basically acknowledging your own sense of self. And so you take on everyone else's identity in order for you to keep harmony or homeostasis within yourself. You go out there and you look for what other people need emotionally, mentally, etc., denying yourself so you can feel good about yourself. Hello. So when you see empathy as not, like an intentional getting to be in somebody else's shoes and resonate with them, instead you see empathy as I just can't help it. I just take on everybody's energy all the time. You are truly and actually a people pleaser. You are doing it or perpetuating that behavior as a means to please other people, to appease the environment around you, to have other people see you in a certain specific perspective, period. And let's get into number 7. Number 7 is you indulge in toxic behaviors when you don't even enjoy them in order to fit in. Now, this one right here, I know that's a whole mouthful, but basically you do things that you don't want to do in order to fit in. Predominantly toxic behavior. So let's say you don't really like smoking weed, but every time you're with specific sort of friends, specific group of individuals, you'll smoke weed just to fit in with them. Maybe you don't like to drink, but you've learned to put up with the taste of alcohol just so you can fit in. And I believe that most of us, when we're young, we do this, right? The first time I drank, I hated the taste, I hated the smell, I hated the feeling. But because I wanted to fit into the group, and because everybody else in that group was already doing it, I said to myself, I'll get used to it. But the cost of the feeling was less than the cost of, fitting into that group. Like I cared more about fitting in than I did about my own health, to be very honest with you. That's just the reality. And a lot of us do that. You probably find yourself doing that. You do things that you necessarily wouldn't do otherwise. Maybe you get around a certain group of people and you gossip, right? You talk behind people's backs, etc. You find yourself, indulging in these conversations that are detrimental to yourself and to others. And yet you do it because you want to fit in at that moment in time. Maybe you like to work out. Maybe you want to get in shape. Maybe you're not in shape yet, but you want to get in shape, or you are in shape and you want to get in better shape, whatever it may be, right? And the people around you love talking about, skinny bees this, skinny bees that. And, look at them little rats. Look at them little rabbits eating on grass and celery sticks and blah, blah, blah. Like, you are used to a group of people who mock the very thing that you're trying to go towards, the very thing that you're aspiring towards. And instead of standing your ground and saying, you know what, I believe in a healthy lifestyle and I don't want to, talk down on the very goals that I have, you just blend in and you talk about the same things, and therefore you'll stay up until 2 a.m. You'll eat the In-N-Out burgers. You'll eat the Snickers bars at 3 a.m. You'll stay up, and then you miss the gym at 7 when you're supposed to go, and you end up eating bad the next day. You're trash because you drank, instead of drinking water, you drank the Hennessy. Like, it's just this compound effect of negative behaviors, of toxic behaviors that stems from wanting to fit in, wanting to be liked, wanting other people to approve of you. And so that is a telltale sign that you are a people pleaser. Now, people pleasing is not something that you will overcome in a moment, overcome in a day, but there is a process in which you don't have to take a lifetime. As a matter of fact, it can happen what would seem as instantaneous if you're willing to dedicate yourself to a process. This is a process that I have built out, that I've worked out the kinks because I've lived it, and I have allowed others to be a part of that same journey. I brought people into my life and I realized, you know what, this works. People are stepping from where they're afraid to live their own life into a space where they are living their most authentic life unapologetically. And so I want to stretch that invitation to you. Book a call with me immediately. Book a consultation call, and we will basically go over a strategy of how you can go from where you are to where you want to be. And if we find out during that call that you are a right fit, then we could possibly get you in for personal coaching. Because I want to make sure that you're not spending another year, another 10 years, or 5 years, or another 20 years doing the exact same things, getting the exact same results, and you're only going to be angry at yourself because the people around you won't care whether you made it or not, but you will. I appreciate you. I love you. The things in the background are going crazy, so I got to cut this one short. Peace.